My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Welcome everyone to the show. I have a most special guest today, the gorgeous Diva Diaz. Thank you so much for being here.
Aw, thank you. What a lovely introduction. I'm blushing now.
Oh, yay. So today I wanted to talk about, so I'm kind of doing a month of thrival. I wanted to, it's just been up in, I think it's up in a lot of people's worlds, but so I've been wanting to explore it and with different access consciousness facilitators to kind of get their take and their awareness on it. You do all this amazing X-Men stuff and so excited to be taking well, it's not technically an X-Men class, but it's a X-Men will be there. But if you were the evolution class coming up. So I thought we could explore, I'm so much energy and excitement, thought we could explore how evolution can contribute to thrival, but also X-Men themselves evolving into thrival, because I have seen, especially now that I'm exploring the autism world because of my kid, you see there's a lot of like disability stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
And but I'm looking around, I'm going, but look at that. Like, look at that superpower. Look at that superpower. And for me, that's the thrival that's possible.
Yeah. Yes, but that's also you being the thrival, because there aren't that many people who would see that. And I think part of, being able to thrive is actually making the choice, it is a choice. We think it's not, to look for the possibility where everybody else sees a disability or a wrongness, but you've got to choose it. You can't just expect to sit there moaning or complaining or thinking about the worst case scenario or how terrible something is, and then expect a possibility to jump out into your face. It's not going to do that. Like, you need to actually go, all right, I see all of this is great, and what's the possibility here? Which is a very different question.
Wow. The energy behind what you were just saying, I started to get like, even asking that question activates evolution. Yeah. It's like, what's the and then it starts to, it's like possibility goes activated, and it starts to like.
Totally. I mean, it's a question is always a catalyst. And I think so often we don't recognize the power of a catalyst because we just want to see the power of the final result. But the only way to get to the final result is to have an initial catalytic movement reaction to get things moving in a different direction or in a different way. And that's what the question does. And for me, the interesting thing is people who are X-Men, people who are different, they don't fit in, they may have been labeled or diagnosed or not, but they have elements of these different labels of so-called disability. They actually very naturally have this inquisitive way of being where they will question things, which to a lot of people can be annoying, but that is always a catalytic, reaction into, okay, so that's what the situation is right now, but what could it be? What else could it be? What else could be added? What's really going on here? And that's what creates evolution. I mean, nothing ever evolved from sitting still and going, great, we got the result. The end.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about evolution itself? Like, what are you aware of with that and with, I mean, people in general, but we could talk about X-Men. What are you aware with that now?
I think one of the wonderful gifts that using the tools of access consciousness has kind of provided me with is that really recognizing that you can choose how little or how much you evolve in your own life. It really is your own choice, which is wonderful and also terrifying in some ways. Terrifying, as Dr. Dane here would say. There's like a mixture of excitement and being terrified at the same time. But It's funny, I was texting someone something the other day and my phone autocorrected the word to X terrifying. I was like, wow, even the phone knows this. But it was like this thing where, so often we're like on the edge of, I'd like to do this, and then all the fears come in, all of this, all of that, the other. And, to me, evolution isn't about having to get it right or always having to improve something, but it's just about doing something different. Like, not because something needs to be fixed. I think so often we think like, okay, I will evolve from a mediocre person to a spectacular, successful billionaire or whatever it is for you, but it doesn't need to be that. It could just be, what could I do different? Oh, maybe I could have some more fun here, or maybe I could have some more ease in this relationship, or maybe, I don't know, whatever that is for you. And that's where things can actually, well, almost always show up much better than you imagined.
I love that, because we just did and maybe I'll link it. We did a Facebook Live just before this, and I was talking about like where I've noticed how my life has evolved when I looked back. And it's not necessarily like it got like better, like, cause there's the judgment that can play into that. Right.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm like, it's so different. And then it was so different. And then it was, and like the difference is that like, the evolution really. Yeah.
And I love that you're saying that, because you're right. Like it's not a linear thing at all. And it's not like this straight line, like gradient that just goes up. And a really good example of this is if you look at the way that we see our bodies, for example, people tend to think that if they're evolving with their body, they're working out more, they're eating cleaner, their body looks better, is quote unquote healthier, stronger, they're slimmer, they're toned, whatever. Sure, that could be one form of evolution, but what if the evolution is also your mentality that that's the right way of doing it? What if your evolution is that you wake up in the mornings and you don't judge yourself anymore, and you start to appreciate your body, and you start to listen and be more intuitive with it, and actually get a sense of what it requires and desires? And sure, that may lead to more movement, a different way of eating, but not having that result or what everybody expects, as the only way of evolving. That's been one of the things that's fascinated me, that I'm grateful for, that, that is even a conversation that can be had right now, where people are looking and being more in allowance of their own bodies and of other people's, hopefully a little bit, but to me, that's the true evolution. It's not about getting the result better, faster, quicker, but actually the way that you perceive things and how much you allow into your world. Like, are you going to be somebody that has, a very fixed idea of how things should be, whether it's your body, your finances, relationships, people? If that's true for you, you might be allowing a really small amount of possibilities and opportunities into your world. But if you have a much wider, more relaxed idea that has less judgment, then you might be allowing a lot more into your life, which to me is the evolution. From a small-minded person to something much greater.
Wow. Well, that's so cool, because I've had these times where, say I've been like, maybe I got really sick or something's going on with my back or something. And people would be like, sometimes, well, what's wrome with you? Or can't you just magic that away or whatever? Yeah. And I'm like, no, I actually get like this I'm just evolving something. And often I come once it's, moved through, I'm like more present. I'm actually more peaceful in some ways. Maybe I've let go of something that like wasn't actually working for me. And I had that awareness during that time. And that is an evolution. It doesn't look like, or people's lives, this is the best, is when everything seems like it's falling apart. I love this question because it saved my life probably 10 times. I'm like, oh my God, everything, it's like this happened and then this, and every time I turn around, it's like something's falling apart. And then the question that Access gives us is everything's falling together.
Yes. So true.
And then, so when that dust settles or however you describe that, for me, I have evolved through that shift, that change, that like breaking apart of the foundation of everything that was limiting me. Yeah,
totally. I mean, I've you and I both work with a lot of clients around the world, and we have the incredible luck and gift of interacting with a lot of different people and evolving through our work with them too. And, you know, I remember once this lady talking about like a very, very abusive marriage that she was in, and having this friend in her life that showed up and was always there to support her and kind of gave her the courage to leave that abusive marriage. And she had 2 kids at the time. And so she was scared for like the kids and what would happen, what wouldn't happen. And then when she left that relationship, she ended up having a relationship with this other man several years down the road. It wasn't actually immediate at all, maybe 2-3 years down the road. And it didn't turn out the way that she wanted. And so she was very bitter and angry about that. And the question that I asked her is, was he actually exactly what you required in that moment to give you the courage and the support to make a different choice that would make your life greater? And she started to look at it in another way, and it brought down her barriers, and it really released a lot of stuff she'd been holding on to because she thought that she'd failed at that relationship or she wasn't good enough, which just wasn't true. But that's such a typical example of how we can expect things to look a certain way, and we forget the gift that is, because we're just looking at how the result hasn't been what we expected it to be. And in this example, she was vulnerable enough actually to say to me, do you know what, I think I've been waiting for this conversation because I didn't know how to get unstuck from this. So she knew there was something stuck, but she thought that it was because she had been upset that the relationship hadn't worked out. I think they were married for like 10 years afterwards, and that marriage broke down. So, I mean, they still had a relationship, but she'd wanted it to be forever. And because of that, she actually hadn't seen the gift that it was to her and her kids that she had managed to get the courage to have a different life, and that the future for all of them changed drastically. And so I think something as simple as that is how we can take control of, you know, our own mindset, the way that we think, and recognize that the choices that we're making, even though they may not always seem perfect or give us the result that we want, essentially, what are we evolving into? Like, what are you choosing? Is this going to create evolution in your life in one way or another, even if it doesn't look the way that we think it's going to look?
Yeah. And how great to actually like extract, like, evolution has nothing to do with results. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're looking at even like, I want to evolve my business, like how many people are going, that means more money, or that means this, or that means that. It could be like more ease, more communication, more clarity, more, so many different things, but you'd miss it.
Exactly. And so that's the thing, like, when you're really stuck on the result of what your life should look like, you miss actually the gifts that are all around you that you're actually choosing. They're not so random. Like, you're choosing them. You're going to that job. You're choosing to wake up in the morning. You're choosing to wear that outfit. You're choosing to engage with the people that you're engaging with. Like, you're choosing every aspect of it every single day. And so, you know, what is the gift in all of that? And how can you start to recognize it so that you can really receive the gift and not just be upset when things don't turn out the way that you think they will, or think that you're going backwards when, what if you never are?
Yes. That, and I've heard that a lot over the years. I feel like I've gone backwards. Yeah.
Right. Really. Yeah.
But can you really go backwards?
Yeah, exactly.
So can we talk a little, like, both you and I, obviously we see the value, the gift in being the evolution. What can we speak to someone that's kind of like, well, I kind of get it, but I don't even know, like, is this something that I care about? Or what do you mean choose it?
Yeah. I think that's part of like the fun of it, like exploring it. And, you know, there's not one right way to be it, but I would say for me, and I mean, I don't know what it's been like for you, but I know that everything that I've thought was like an area that I was not good at all ended up being an area that I was incredibly good at. I just hadn't really like had an outlet for it, or I hadn't really chosen to just go for it. I just kind of dipped my toe in and then looked at everyone's reactions to see if they were happy enough, and then dipped another toe in, and then looked behind me to see if my past would agree. And my mum, when I was 5, would be okay with what I'm choosing. And then I'd dip in, maybe my ankle, and then I'd look to see if my friends thought that was cool enough to still be friends with me or not. And so I was never actually really choosing it. And that's like a very kind of oversimplified example, but how much do we do that, every single day?
Yeah.
What has it been like for you, like in terms of,
so
different areas that have evolved? Yeah.
I think a lot of similarities. I have a past. Sometimes I'm still dragging around. I don't know why, but I definitely would like, oh, would this be okay? Would I get in trouble? There's a lot of like, would I get in trouble for doing this kind of thing? Right. And I think for me, that's been a huge piece of acknowledging where I'm not wrong. And it still happens. It's still like, there's still layers and layers and layers of like, I'm not wrong in that area. What? I was certain that this is one of the areas that I need to fix because I'm terrible in this area. Yeah. So that's personally like shifted my whole sense of gratitude for myself, because and that's been an evolution in itself. I remember at some class or someone saying like, don't you have gratitude for yourself? And I'm like, that's the weirdest, like, how can you have gratitude for you? You have gratitude for everyone else. Like I couldn't even understand what they were talking about. So as I evolve in that, and the more I can acknowledge these capacities and gifts, I have so much more gratitude, not just for me, but for like living, for being here, and then it goes out, and then I'm grateful for all the people around me and the earth. And, it just kind of creates for me, a greater living. Like, yeah.
Exactly. And that, I love that you're saying that, because without sounding completely cheesy, it's like it starts with you and then it bleeds out into every area of your life. It's like if you're having a bad day, that's going to bleed out into every area of your life, if you allow it, but you can notice like when people have got stuff going on, it does affect the world around them. And, one of the things that I love about this topic is, what if it's not hard work to like evolve and get to be that? What if you just need to stop choosing the things that aren't you? Like stop choosing the things that never were your beliefs, your points of view, your limitations, your anger, your frustration, your whatever. Just stop it. Just choose what is you, which sounds simple enough, but hopefully that's what these classes, will kind of like contribute. But like, what are these other things that we could be choosing? Like as simple as like you're saying, waking up like and recognizing the gratitude that you can have and how that actually bleeds out into everything and contributes, or choosing to not judge in a situation, which might allow you to turn it around a lot faster than if you sat there diving into a rabbit hole of judgment, so it's actually super pragmatic when you think about it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And what if it could be easy is so amazing, because I think I didn't really do I know a lot of people explored metaphysics, or I didn't really do any of that kind of stuff. I don't know. I tried to buy a witchcraft book when I was a kid. My mom said, no, it's evil. Like that's as far as I went. So when I kind of dove into the world of energy, I didn't realize it was supposed to be hard to like just do that stuff. So I was like, oh, and people that maybe had some training were like, oh, well, how many years you must have done this for? And I'm like, oh, no, not really. Like, I don't know. I've done it 10 times. Like, but the ease of, so I actually love that I didn't have the formal training that told me that it was supposed to take so many years and I would get to this level and then I could be a master or whatever that meant. And one of the things I love about Access consciousness classes, and I love about classes with you, Diva, is that you might not even cognitively at the end, you might not be like, wow, I really evolved my capacity in multitasking or whatever, Yeah. But you're like, I'm so different. Like, I'm so different after this conversation, after this class, after this. And in this new space, that you've moved forward, that you've grown, that you've expanded, that there has been evolution. And then you get to explore in the next coming months, like, how is this going to show up without really being able to even define what occurred?
Totally. And I love that you're saying that way too, because it's like change that just, it keeps on unraveling in your world. And, the thing that I love too is that it's just empowering. I think it's the first thing, if you can call it that, access consciousness, that didn't give me an answer. So I had to keep choosing for myself, which is why I keep going to classes and I keep facilitating, and I can see some of the people around me judging me, like, I'm not even going to ask her what she's doing. She's doing some weird thing. She keeps going back. It must be because they've hooked her. No, it's the opposite. I'm going back because it's my choice and because I'm actually empowered. Like, I'm not getting any answers. I need to discover myself every day through all of my choices. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that one.
I just realized, like, that in itself is an invitation to evolution, because when you're given an answer, like you said before, then you stop. You're like, okay, cool. I got my answer. I'm good. Exactly. But when you're looking at, and I remember when I first even started to ask questions, like as a tool, not as trying to get an answer.
Yeah.
It was almost like weird. Like it was like clunky. And then now we talk about, you become something, you become the question. And so for me, it's weird if I'm in the meeting or something and like no one's asking questions. I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I'm like, I'll just sit here. Because I'm super confused.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But 10 years ago, I would have been the one like, okay, we got to find the answer. So like looking at that evolution of being, where again, you might not even recognize it until you look at it and look for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we should probably wrap up soon. I do want to plug the class one more time. This is, I feel like I've been waiting for this class since maybe that class I took with you and Gary like a bazillion years ago. Like I've been sensing this. So I'm so excited for the possibilities and the gift you are as a facilitator of you be this energy that it almost, you talked about catalyzing. It catalyzes evolution. There is no like holding back or trying to control people or limit people. It's really like, I'll be the catalyst for whatever you want to evolve right now without a point of view. So I'm so grateful for you in my life and so grateful that I get to take these classes with you.
Thank you.
And thank you. And I want to invite everyone to it. We'll have links in the description, and any class you want to take with Diva. It doesn't have to be this class. Of course, we'll have all kinds of things. So is there anything else you want to say or final words on all of this?
I would just say, like, how much fun can you have with all of this? Whether you think you're wrong, whether you think you're right, whether there are things you want to improve or not. Like, how much fun can you have living your life? Like, what if that itself is a gift to the planet and to everyone around you, without getting too romantic about it, but truly, like, whatever you are does affect the world around you and does affect every area. So what are you choosing that's working? What are you choosing that's not working? And what else could you be choosing that would expand everything beyond your wildest dreams?
And that to me is thrival. Like that's thrival. Yes. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?